Hey. Hi, guys. Welcome back. All right. So, this is going to be a bonus general message. Just to let you know, there will be another one that comes out tomorrow that I've actually already recorded. It's just still going to be processing, so it won't be made available till tomorrow. All right. We have, for this storyline, we have the word flow, and we've got awful beautiful full moon, and we see it kind of like glinting across the river. It's a very peaceful scene. I'm going to say that this is more. Keep in mind, we're headed for the total solar eclipse tomorrow. Um, but what it looks like to me is that there's an energy, peace and calm coming through. Perhaps there's better energy flow. Perhaps there's going to be a lot of distress that is kind of washed away or allowed to just kind of float downstream. This could be in that subconscious mind, since the moon is so prominent here. And the reason I've been using this backdrop is because it is kind of the tip of the hat to the fact that we've already had the lunar eclipse. Now we're headed into that solar eclipse. So lots of energetic changes. And I've been looking for, what is the renewal? What is the harmonious energy? I've been doing it for all the zodiacs, but now we very clearly see it's like, in a grand sense, it's almost like nature itself is about to kind of like take a deep breath. This is, a flow to me represents something that is consistent. It's not a gush. It's not a tidal wave. It's not some huge explosion of energy. It's a smooth, able to be like anticipated and expected and relied upon kind of energy shift. So if that's the energy that's coming in, maybe it's going to be a time frame that we're coming into where it will be less explosive and pizzazzy. Maybe this talks about a time of, I'm not going to say there's no stagnation. A flow means we have motion, but we just don't have it coming across in a wild, disruptive way. Okay. Hey, guys, good to see everybody. Um, so we have that Three of Pentacles, and it's a dam, but the dam is controlling the flow of water. It's holding back, like, okay, if that dam suddenly busted, it would be catastrophic, right? Can't have all that water rushing in one huge mass. Instead, we can withhold some of the water and use it for a positive energy source. And then we can also control how much water we let out to go downriver to then also, irrigate the land and, provide, what the wildlife needs for survival. So this is managing everything. There's this energy of, we have characters, or maybe the entire collective, being able to manage emotions a lot better, being able to, listen. So let me put it this way. Emotions, I think, are really important. They shouldn't be suppressed, but they also shouldn't run rampant over us. It's like, horses are several thousand-pound powerful animals, and they can be awesome, like plow horses. Back in the day, that's what they used to use, or they pulled wagons, they moved goods. On the other hand, horses that are just, wild, that you can't direct the energy then, right? But that's also beautiful. Like, it's great to see the wild energy, but if we want to harness that, maybe train a horse and work with it, there's so much of those horses. I mean, that changed the landscape of society sometimes. People rode horses as they, pushed into other areas, other territories, and then settled other areas. And, it expanded societies sometimes because they could be used as a mode of transportation. So the bottom line is, it's great to have wild emotions. It's also great to harness emotions. So somehow, recognizing I don't need to suppress, but I also don't need it to be totally unbridled. I need to work with my emotions. That is a lovely thing, because this is a character who can now totally embrace all that they are, all that they feel, but channel it into a useful, powerful, potent direction. Oh my God, I know this card looks the opposite. This is the Tower. I got this big old crocodile popping up out of nowhere, and he is creating havoc. This is so I'm a big fan of the Tower card, a little less so when I see a giant crocodile, because honestly, I don't like reptilian things like this, but the bottom line is we have things that needed to change, right? And I'm going to say that there is major upheaval in the midst of this flow. So what do I mean by that? This says we have a character who's going to be able to handle a massive upheaval that is probably coming. And instead of it becoming a thing where it's like, oh my God, now what? This could be a collapse of something. It may be that our character goes, well, the old me would have gotten really upset. But honestly, the new me says, well, this is upsetting, but I'm just going to, like Modest Mouse says, we'll all float on okay. It's going to be all right. We got this. This is a change, yes, but maybe because the tower doesn't come in for no reason. The tower comes in when something needed to be stopped, when a narrow, environment needed to collapse so that a character could have more freedom of thought or freedom of movement. Or, this can be the end of a relationship, but maybe it was a crappy relationship, or maybe it was a relationship that seemed good on the surface, but it wasn't allowing the characters to, really truly expand and grow and become all that they could be. Maybe it's like, well, I've been with this person, but they hate dancing, they hate travel, they hate this, they hate that, so I don't do any of those things anymore. Okay, then was it that perfect a relationship if you surrendered everything that you loved in life to be with this one relationship? Then that relationship ends and they get all those other activities back, all the other things that made their life beautiful. So sometimes there's a loss, but there can also be a win in the midst of it. Something that collapses, say a character was working 80 hours a week in a job and then the business goes under. I mean, it's terrible to lose one's job, but it was also terrible to work 80 hours per week. Why had that become the norm at that company? There are things that had to be looked at that maybe were not great and now they're being taken away. And even though it's disruptive, our character, thanks to the fact that these first two cards are here, our character is saying, oh, I'll feel emotion about it, but I'll also manage it. And I'll also realize it's going to be okay, because probably some things ended because they weren't really the best for me after all. Honey bunny, thank you, Angel. You are so kind. Thank you, sweetie. Thank you for that generous donation. The Fool. And we have the Knight of Wands. I think it's going to be exciting, but even that is going to be a little bit tempered, okay? The Fool is, I'm going to take a leap in a new direction. But we have like this King Kong character, which of course in the King Kong stories, he was a gigantic gorilla who then was kind of misunderstood. I always felt bad for King Kong. But in this story, we see that he's actually wearing like a Sherlock Holmes garb. And we can see that, oh, wait a second, this is like someone who is a mental giant. This is somebody who is going to say, I'm going to take a leap of faith in a new direction, but it's not going to be random. It's going to be, I'm going to be thoughtful about this. I mean, come on, Sherlock Holmes was so incredibly intelligent in the stories, right? Using the powers of intellect and deduction to figure out which direction to go next. Probably our character could be seen as intimidating by some, the way they very calmly handle themselves in the face of some massive upheaval. And yet it's not because they're like about to freak out. Quite the reverse. This is a character who's like, oh, wow. All right. You know what? Not a problem. And they just carry on. They carry on because they're already internally thinking, well, some things in my life changed. Something ended. Some kind of a collapse, some kind of a breakdown. But I'm not broken. I'm just thinking about, wait a second. You mean I could do just about anything after this? Okay, what am I excited about? What do I want to do? This Knight of Wands is usually a card of nicer action takers, but this knight gets a bad rap for being a player, because lots of times I consider him to be our most explorative knight, which I don't think is bad, unless you're breaking hearts along the way. But he's usually the guy who says, okay, there's all this stuff I want to do, but I don't know exactly what I want to do the most. So I'm going to run north and see what's north, and then I'm going to come back to center, and then I'm going to go northeast and come back to center, and then I'm going to go west, come back to center, and I'm going to go, and he goes in all the different cardinal directions and everything, and he checks stuff out before he figures out confidently, do I want to go east, west, north, south, or somewhere in between. He's an action taker that is collecting data, and he gets a bad rap for being somebody who just bounces in and out. But here's the thing, he doesn't look like he's taking crazy action. He looks pretty well put together. Again, this is somebody whose mind is going to be alive with all kinds of fabulous ideas about what they get to do, what they want to do after this collapse. Instead of freaking out, our character is going to see a collapse as, oh, well, this is a breath of fresh air. It means I get kind of like a system reset. I get to decide where I go next. I do want to ask, what is the Tower? We see a couple people falling out of the Tower. We have Ace of Wands with the olive branch. What I think this is, something that for a long period of time, it was supposed to have either had the illusion of this being like, oh yes, I really like this. This is where I want to be. This is very harmonious. Or someone who was trying to get things to be harmonious, like they had a strong desire to work stuff out with our lead character. It's not going to happen. Why is it not going to happen though? Because that would normally look like a great card, you know? I'm passionate that we work stuff out. I said, why is it not going to happen? So ironically, this card that says liberation is actually the judgment card in any other deck, which is normally a card of reconciling. But as we can see, the way a character, this is so great because it tells us more about the word reconciliation. Reconciling doesn't mean two people have to get back together. Two people who have to see eye to eye. Reconciling, just like if we work at any job, at the end of the day, we have to reconcile our till, right? We have to make sure that all the money is there that the little record says should be there. So it's counting stuff up, making sure everything is in its right place. That does not mean that it's, how do I say this? It's putting stuff in order. Sometimes the way we put our thoughts in order is we realize, you know what? This doesn't work for me. I've grown beyond this. I need to go someplace else. I've reconciled with the fact that I've changed. I have come to the conclusion that even though you really want peace with me, I really want to go a different way. I don't even want to have this conversation anymore. I want to be free of this. I think our lead character, something happens here. It could be a person tries to return to our character's life and try to heal things with them. And bizarrely, that's the moment they go, wow, I never really expected to hear from you, but here you are, and you want to reconcile with me. But it's because you're here, standing here telling me this, that I really don't want this. And I'm okay with that. And onward I go. This is a moment of total freedom after someone else is very intent on offering the olive branch. And that's the moment that our character knows their answer no. Not because they're mad, not because they're upset, but because this doesn't even feel like it's part of their life anymore. It couldn't be part of their life. This could have been something that used to fill them with emotion. This could have been a situation where, if maybe 3 days prior, if somebody had come in and said this to them, hey, I have this strong desire, passion for you, and passion to offer the olive branch, and passion to let's try this again. Maybe our character would have said yes 3 days ago, but something has changed. Our character works through emotions. They realize that they want to actually move forward in a way that, I don't know, just suits them better. And they're faced with this moment of truth where they realize this isn't for me. Give me one more on whatever that situation was. Okay, so it's definitely going to be about a choice. I do feel like this is somebody trying to reconcile with our lead character. This Three of Wands sideways. Actually, I want to show that card up right because it's so pretty. This is definitely about the eclipse tomorrow, I think. This is seeing something clearly. Obviously not staring at the eclipse, right? But rather, or certainly not without your correct protective gear on. But it's more like the representation, like the sun itself is giving some clarity for a character who needed to figure out, what do I do? Where do I go next? And it's like, well, you go where you're supposed to go based off of who you are and what you want. That's where you're supposed to go. You're supposed to go the way that you need to for who you are. 5 of Wands, 6 of Wands. Transform. It's a day to transform. This is not supposed to be the eclipse storytelling. I will put one out tomorrow, but it's just funny that this one seems to be so focused on like a very precise moment in time where a character goes through massive transformation. They're encouraged to think about themselves, what has changed within themselves. And the answer to this is, I'm happy. Like, I'm actually happy with me. I don't need this person to want to show back up in my life. I don't need this reconciliation. It doesn't matter if somebody else has passion for me. My future is going to look like what I want it to look like. And I realize I've changed a lot. I feel better about myself. So what I envision for myself is very different now. I think, and I don't want to say this in a mean way, but I have to say it because it's in my head. Whomever this person is, it could have been a Leo, Sag, Aries. We also had Aries on that Tower card. But whomever this is who wants to, or is going to try to reconcile, and this could be a boss who wants somebody to come back to work. This could be a lover who wants to try it again. Whomever this person is, I don't think that they realize they're not a part of our lead character's future, because our lead character is not the person who they used to be. And I'm going to say that I think our lead character, whomever this is, our lead character, our butterfly character, could be a Scorpio, doesn't have to be. They were accepting far less than what they should have previously when they dealt with whomever that Tower person is. They had accepted far too little back when they were dealing with that person. It's been a blessing that there has been some kind of time and space, and they worked through their emotions and they're more grounded and settled. And now when this sudden abrupt collapse comes, it's funny how the collapse is like the boundaries of like no communication is what's falling, and this person is reaching out, trying to offer the olive branch, trying to say they're very passionate, trying to open things back up again. And our character is like, I'm sorry, for me the Tower fell in that moment because I realized I don't want this anymore. So the Tower is kind of looking like a couple different things for these two different characters. And now that brings us back to, so where's our character going? Because they're excited, but not chaotic excited. They're thoughtful, mindful, really thinking about where they're headed next. So what comes next? We have the Chariot, and I love this card because her license plate says Cosmos on it. I know you can't see it there in the imagery, but it actually does. No, it still is going to be too blurry up close. Blue Sapphire, thank you, Angel. Thank you so much. You're so generous. Thank you for that beautiful donation. So I never care what gender my characters are because I'm not reading for genders, but we see a feminine with deer antlers that look more masculine. So this could be a character, our lead character could be a feminine just because we did see a feminine on the Judgment card. Now we have Cancerian energy, and we have a feminine who is like in like a blend of her masculine and feminine energies, but she is moving forward according to whatever her inner guidance system is, whatever the cosmos, whatever direction she feels the cosmos is pointing her. However she's supposed to move forward, it's going to feel calm, it's going to feel peaceful. She's going to listen closely to that. We have the Action of Cups. It's going to be very fulfilling. But with the Four of Cups here, or excuse me, Four of Coins, I gotta say, this is holding back, can also be holding on, but I think she's going to go solo for a little bit. She may be taking a particular solo trip. Maybe she's going to go out stargazing. Maybe she just needs to get out into nature, or maybe she has bigger plans to travel. I feel like she's going to be doing some kind of meditative work, whatever that means for her. It may, be one of those things where she goes, as I think about where I want to go next, I feel really drawn to driving into a nice dark night sky so I can look up at the night sky. That's what I'm going to do to meditate and figure out, what is it that I really want to do? What do I love? What am I going to pursue? It's interesting that her answer for right now is, I'm not actually going to be thinking about either romance, or I'm not going to be thinking about that particular person I've just said no to. I realize that's not part of my journey anymore. I really think this is a character who is steering clear of other entanglements, maybe just for a short period of time. But this looks like, even, hold on, nothing's popped out yet, but even the way this is a wonderful pose, right? A beautiful ballet pose, but how long can that posture be sustained? I don't think she wants to get herself into situations that feel like they couldn't last anyway, that feels tenuous at best, or that you gotta be on tiptoe to make it work. I don't think she wants a person who feels like they gotta be on tiptoe to not annoy her. And I don't think she wants to be in relationships that feel like there's not going to be longevity. It would be short-lived anyway. I don't think you can live on your tiptoes. I don't see how that's possible anyway. And I think that's what she's realizing. If something doesn't really fit, if it's not really grounded, then why go for it at all? Whether that's a job, a person, a friendship, a lover, if we're not really grounded, we can't be tiptoeing. It's never going to last. And I feel like that's a big distinguishing feature that she's recognized. I feel like it's a major breakthrough in how she's going to ask herself from here on out what she goes after. We have Ace of Cups sideways, we have the Devil in the reverse, and we have the World. This could be a story about a feminine who is a more mature age. You notice she has this glorious, like silver champagne colored hair, and she has really colorful, everything about her is just color. Her dress is colorful. She has like a really beautiful, I don't know if it's like a serape or a wrap thrown over her arm, but and all this sacred geometry behind her, and she's kind of like a worldly view. She could be blended nationalities as well. She looks something akin to either Latina, or perhaps even like Asian. Doesn't have to be that. I'm just saying she has a broader world view. She may have seen different aspects of life, or she may be interested in different cultures. She's not narrow visioned. And I kind of think she's realizing that for her to fill her cup right now, she needs more than just like a romance. She needs the freedom to like connect with a whole bunch of different people. Maybe she has a bit of a purpose right now to start like connecting and communicating and conveying her wisdom, perhaps, or becoming a teacher, becoming somebody who gets to kind of not be held into just one important connection that she pours all of her energy into, but rather for at least a little period of time. She needs the exact opposite of this. Look, if she was in a bird cage and had been dealing with just one relationship, trying to make that work for a really long time, even if it pops up into her life now where that person wants to make it work with her, she's like, no, I realize with lots of other people, that's where I'm at right now. That's what I'm meant to do right now. In fact, to be in just one connection and be expected to pour all my energy into one connection would be confining. And my Aries agrees. Don't confine my Aries. I think it's a very different mindset, but it's somebody who feels like they have connections that are going to be important out in the world, not one-on-one connections at this particular snapshot in time. I don't know how long that mentality lasts. It might just be for a little bit, but she's going to do what she needs to right now. You guys, thank you so much for being here. Lots of love to everybody. I'm absolutely honored and delighted you guys popped by. I'm going to go check up on my pup. And thanks again, you guys. Take care for now.